Okay, so I've got to make this video despite my massive headache and heat stroke because I cannot believe what I've just read. And it's that Call of Duty has backtracked. And this isn't like a we're listening to the fans kind of thing, as much as they want to paint it as it is. This is just intimidation. Like, they are scared. And I think it's the most obvious it's ever been, and desperate, I want to say. But I'm glad they're doing it. This is the exact reason competition is one of the best things ever. So I'm going to get into it. If you didn't know, if you fell off the game, Black Ops 6 has had this obsession within the last few months of adding like actual cartoon characters to the game, like American Dad characters, you know, Beavis and Butthead, stuff like that. It's had this weird obsession with it, and people really don't like it. It's very strange to be playing a Call of Duty game with its artistic direction and seeing Beavis and Butthead or Stan Smith from American Dad running around the battlefield. It is very, very weird. It does not fit the artistic direction of Call of Duty in the slightest. And I think Activision knows that, but they just don't care. Well, at least they didn't until now. So originally, these skins were going to carry over to Black Ops 7 because obviously being a direct sequel to Black Ops 6, being released by the same developers the year after, which is another weird thing for the Call of Duty cycle, but whatever, they were going to carry over, as well as the weapon skins from most operators. They said there were going to be some exceptions, but I very much doubt after reading what they've put today that it was going to be the cartoon skins that were going to be the exceptions. There was probably going to be some older skins that weren't going to carry over. But anyway, they're not coming. They backtracked. They said it's not happening anymore. Originally, the plan was going to be at Season 1, they were going to re-release all this stuff back into the game and back into Warzone with the integration of Warzone and Black Ops 7. But no, they've completely backtracked. They're saying it's not happening anymore. They're saying they don't want it to happen. They're saying it's not in line with the identity of Call of Duty, and that they, quote unquote, hear us. So apparently moving forward as well, the bundles in Black Ops 7 are going to be more in line with the visual direction of that game and obviously the story direction of that game in comparison to like Black Ops 6 with all the cartoony stuff. So it's actually, this is a massive positive for Black Ops 7 and the people that want it to stay within its art direction and stay within its style. And I think that's perfect. But let's be real. The only reason they're doing this is because of Battlefield 6. I don't think there's any way to beat around the bush here. Battlefield 6 has more pre-orders for the first time in a very, very long time, by the way. I'm not sure if Battlefield 1 had more pre-orders than Infinite Warfare, but all I know is that overall, Battlefield 1 sold 50 million plus copies. Infinite Warfare in its lifetime sold 12 million, 13 million, something like that. So it was outsold for the first time, I think, in a very, very long time, Call of Duty was by a Battlefield game. And it was a bit more subtle at the time, but Activision definitely felt that impact by rushing Sledgehammer Games to make Call of Duty World War II. They marketed it very specifically all the time as a boots on ground, boots on ground, boots on ground, boots on ground. And they even basically, I believe they forced Treyarch to change what Black Ops 4 was originally going to be, which was a exo boost formula game, similar in like the style of Black Ops 3. And then changed it into a boots on ground game, and they marketed it as that. And the trailer like numbers kind of show that it's very obvious that people thought it was going to be an EXO game as well. But people like World War II and people like Black Ops 4, not so much Black Ops 4, but World War II towards the end of its life cycle was actually really good. But there was very much so evidence that the game World War II was rushed, and Black Ops 4 was as well, definitely. They also felt this heat with Fortnite when Battle Royale came out and got like biblically popular. They then, of course, brought out Blackout, and they sort of rushed the dev team with that. And then, unfortunately, Sledgehammer Games had a small falling out with Activision, and then they moved that entire team over to work on Black Ops Cold War, which obviously wasn't Black Ops Cold War at the time, was a different game based in the Cold War. But there you go. But yeah, they're definitely feeling the heat because the numbers don't lie. Battlefield 6 has selling extraordinarily well beyond, I think, anyone's expectations. And it's crazy how good faith works in the gaming space. If you go back to your formula that players were happy with and you bring player satisfaction, it's crazy how people will just turn up. Crazy, right? And I'm sure that after this news, a lot of people who didn't pre-order Black Ops 7 or were holding off on it will now pre-order Black Ops 7, and they will now get a bit more revenue on their sales charts. But like, it was going abysmally. The Steam sales charts work on revenue, exactly how much money it's making at the time, not on like just copies sold or like code sold. So, for example, Battlefield 2042 being in the top 10 as a €3/$/pound game is absolutely insane. It was making more than Black Ops 7, bar none. Like, and it's not like they don't get the revenue when you pre-order the game. Like, they take the money off you straight away. Like, you have pre-purchased the game. It's not pre-order, it's a pre-purchase, right? So it was making more money. Battlefield 6 was in the top 10 at the time. It dropped to like number 12, I think, by the time by the time I made the video before. It's probably a bit lower now. But Black Ops 7, by the time I made that video, was at 112. It was not looking good, which is crazy. But like I said, this is a good thing. This is a very good thing. It is about time that Call of Duty, I think this is the first time in like a decade, Call of Duty is actually feeling heat from another FPS shooter. No game has come close. And it's just as simple as that. No game has come close. You know, XDefiant wanted to be that major COD killer. It marketed itself as the COD killer, and it shut down after a year. Like, I'm sorry, but no game comes close to Call of Duty. It's just factual at this point. Call of Duty is like the end-all be-all of FPS games, especially on console. Everyone knows Call of Duty. Everyone loves Call of Duty. But there's that tiny glimmer every now and then in Battlefield that they really show their big guns. They saw the state of Call of Duty and what it was in, saw the community feedback, and they took advantage of that. They took advantage of that with Battlefield 1 and went back to more boots on ground, militaristic, World War I kind of thing. And that's definitely one of the reasons they went back. They definitely saw the feedback for Call of Duty and said, well, if they're not going to do it, we're going to do it. And by the looks of it, they just, on this time, I don't even think it was spurred by Call of Duty. I really don't. I mean, they did make a comment saying that, you know, when it comes to skins, they don't need Nicki Minaj running around, for example. Like they kind of throw a bit of shade at Call of Duty at Activision. But I don't think the decision to return to like the more Battlefield 4 style formula was inspired or even anything to do with Call of Duty. I think they just wanted good faith with their fan base back, and they said, all right, we'll go back to what worked. And like, there are other games that have done this. For example, you look at Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, Sonic the Hedgehog was in one of its worst periods, I think, ever. And then they made Sonic Mania, which was done by Christian Whitehead and another team. I forget what they're called, like Mike Head or something, but whatever, I can't remember. They went back to a 2D pixelated formula, and they went back to, obviously, the old mechanics, the old physics engine and everything. Well, they didn't go back. They remade the physics engine, and it did extraordinarily well. It brought so much good faith back into Sonic the Hedgehog that he's like a main face of gaming again. Like, he wasn't back then. He was a joke, and now he's back again. So like, what I'm saying is, it's crazy what having good faith among your audience can bring you, and what listening to them does. And like, the trailer is perfect as an analogy for Sonic Mania being for this. They went backwards, tried to see what worked, and then went forwards with what worked, and then innovated on that and changed things on that, which is exactly what Battlefield 6 is doing, and exactly what Black Ops 7 needs to do, which, by the way, I have to give positive points to Black Ops 7. Like I said in the last video, they are actually innovating on the movement systems that they worked out into Black Ops 6 and adding like jumping on wall, like wall jumping again. Not wall running, not so much so intense as like Black Ops 3's movement, but wall jumping, different field upgrades, more futuristic stuff. And it's as simple as Black Ops 2 worked. So Black Ops 7, if you just add on to what Black Ops 2 did, but not too intensely, then you've got a perfect formula. Like, just, you know, change the gunplay. But anyway, that's it for this video. I don't want this one getting too long. It is such a cool thing that competition is back in the FPS genre. Call of Duty and Activision are being pushed again. We'd love to see it. It adds innovation. It births innovation. It births creativity. Competition is the best thing that you can have in the gaming space, in the music space, in the television, in the entertainment space, anything in general. I could have just said entertainment space in the first place, but hey ho, you know what? Anyway, I've been Jake Plays. I will see you in the next one. Peace, and thank you so much for watching. I am going to go to bed. My head is absolutely killing me. Bye-bye.